Good afternoon. Want to spend a couple of minutes showing some epic note features you may have forgotten from your training. Just some tips and some content I've created to maybe help things along. So when you get to a patient's chart, you'll hopefully learn that epic notes in the outpatient space at least will live in this area on the right side called notes, while a lot of the chart will be on the left side in the chart review and a lot of things broken out. But your note that you'll work on will kind of begin in this notes area on the right. That's an area that can be adjusted with the split screen, and you can also get rid of it for a time with the little sidebar open close that repeats itself in many areas. For the note itself, you definitely want to spend time setting things up, right? Where I can click the create note button and get a blank note, but you definitely want to spend some time in this ellipsis area here, right? This ellipsis has the note settings, and in the note settings you can set up these buttons for the different kinds of notes that you want to use. You can also pick out what's going to be the standard note, so that when you actually click the create note button, rather than getting an empty note, you will get a certain note template. So the going to the ellipsis and making speed buttons for the notes and setting a default are all valuable things to do during your time in your settings classes. So I wanted to go a little deeper into the speed button feature for your notes. All right, so going back to the notes area, these are the speed buttons I've created. The default speed buttons for my specialty, I actually deleted those. Right, so I'm going to go back to that ellipsis to go to the note settings. And then I can click this restore defaults. It doesn't get rid of any of your personal speed buttons you create, but it'll bring back other ones, right? So here are the other ones. The standard note, the standard one that's kind of currently linked to the primary care progress notes. And then there's just a plain procedure note. All right, so now, yes, I've restored those defaults. And so now I have a standard option here and a procedure option. So if I were to click that standard speed button, it creates a new note and it puts that standard template in place. Okay, so that's kind of your quickest way to target the exact note that you want to start. Now, I mentioned that the standard note doesn't come pre-configured with a procedure note. So if I did need to do a procedure, come down here and use the smart link for the ProcDoc, and I then now add that procedures smart block to the note. Now if I just reset this, get rid of it all, I'm going to use my Control A and then delete everything. I'm back to scratch. And now instead of using that standard note, I'm going to use my standard follow-up note. And so in this one, see the ProcDoc is already defaulted in there, along with the other features for results and other optional items. All right, so those are my speed buttons. Let's say I did want to create a new speed button. Right, I found out that there's an asthma block that I wanted to add to as far as an actual note type for new asthma. All right, well then I come to the ellipsis note settings. I'm going to give it a name, such as new asthma. And then I know that it was a smart text. Maybe I'll just do a search under asthma. See if I can find it that way, right? So when you do a search, your search might be defaulted to favorites only. So you do, if you get nothing, make sure you uncheck the favorites only. And then as I'm looking through here, you'll see that the search within smart text is not just full note templates. It could be partial templates, right? Just an HPI section. Oh, but here is the one, general asthma new patient, right? So when you're anytime you're searching and you see the star, that's an option to add it to your favorites, right? That just adds it to your favorite smart text. That doesn't add as a speed button. If we want to add it as a speed button, we're going to highlight it and click accept, or you can double click it, right? So now we have a new speed button with a caption of new asthma using the Foundation Epic Smart Text called General Asthma New Patient, and then I create it, and then there it is. I'm going to accept down here, and now I have a new asthma button. If I want to start from scratch, Control A, delete that note, click my new asthma template, and now I have a note that's filled with a little scary required fields, right? You cannot sign this note until you kind of touch or delete every one of these pink things. So not quite what I was maybe looking for, and I'm going to maybe find something else because I don't want to have to click through all these areas. But that's the idea of creating a speed button, adding it to your note quickly using those speed buttons. You can access, if you've made it a favorite and you forget about the speed buttons, go to the Monopoly cards and you'll find them right here. Right? I didn't save that asthma one as a favorite, but I did save some of these others ones. Oh, there's the subsequent annual wellness or a clean visit. Maybe I don't want all those hyperlinks. I just want a clean note. Here's the clean note I've created. I'm going to add that in. So now I just have a clean initial H&P note that I can do with it. Still has all the smart blocks, and you can still do generally all the features to document within this note type. One other method of starting a note actually takes things to the next level. It's saying, well, of all the actions I need to do for a visit, starting a note is just one of them. What if there was a way to group some of the actions together that helps me to pick my note? And if it's a visit that has a particular diagnosis code or a charge code, that could be something that would be worthwhile as a unique way to get notes started. And so that's where you get into the concept of the express lanes or the smart sets, right? So express lanes and smart sets are just different types of order sets, but those order sets might also contain notes, the ability to quickly get a note started while you're also maybe putting in some initial orders and diagnoses. So if I were to search for one of my smart sets, maybe the chronic disease management smart set, QCDM for short. So I'll see, yes, here's the Q set, chronic disease visit. So now I have a smart set where from this smart set, I can even launch a note. And I can choose whether I want a regular SOAP note format or APSO format. So if I want a regular format, I can click that Add Now button, and it's going to go add it into my note over on the right. So kind of get that started. I can use some of my other order features. The labs due, kind of a artificial intelligence to tell me what labs are due. You'll see more of that in another video. And then the ability to do other top ordered items, diagnostics, and then even put in certain levels of service follow-up things to help. Within the blank note area itself, then also getting used to the toolbar. All right, so whereas in all scripts you had a new note button, then you could go to the new note button and find letter templates and visit notes and procedure notes. They do not have that kind of a pre-made drop down. Those templates will live in here in this what's called the Monopoly cards area. The smart text, you'll hear it say that's the way that it helped me remember where to go to look for my visit notes, was to find the Monopoly card area, and then I can click on that and then search for my note templates and then save my favorites. And ultimately, I turn these into speed buttons as well. So, right, you want to create those speed buttons, but in order to create the speed buttons, you're going to have to find the templates that you want. And so you got to go to that Monopoly card area and find those templates, make them a favorite so you can find them there, and then also turn them into speed buttons. So what I'm showing you here is some of the content I created that just takes advantage of some more of the features of the newer Epic Notes and gives you some tips along the way of documentation. So try to help lessen the load as far as remembering how to do this, that, or the other thing. So as you can see, what I have is currently selected is the ambulatory adult physical note that I created. And so you've got some tips here. The tips are things that will disappear when you sign the note. So you don't have to get rid of them. You just kind of use them to read and just know that they will go away when you sign your note. Then this particular note will, is not yet in the patient's chart. It's just letting me look at it so I can look at one of these other notes. Here's the follow-up APSO note, meaning the APSO is the assessment and plan will show first, followed by the subjective and objective parts of the note. Here's a follow-up visit that's in a regular SOAP note format with the assessment and plan coming at the end. I do have an annual wellness visit template in here that there will likely be a separate video covering a lot of this. And then basically figuring out which note you want to add in. So if I want to just keep this pretty simple and use a plain old ambulatory follow-up visit note in a regular SOAP format, then I can double click that note. And now see, all that information is now put in the note editing area. Other features that you may not have remember from your training is that when you have some of these notes that have what are called these smart lists, some of those are required. I try to build my note templates with as many optional smart lists as possible, but when there are some requirements, such as in the annual wellness visit, this button allows you to kind of pick all the defaults. Let it pick all the defaults, and so that you don't have to go in and touch each of those. And then you can still always go in and change it if you don't like the default value. So that button, looking for the yellow right arrow with the lines for the little list. The other one would be if you did want to do some copying text from an earlier note. Right, so there's another kind of, you're copying into a new note, so that little icon to copy, and when you do that, you will see old notes to be able to copy forward into your note. All right, so then smart texts are kind of note templates, but you might also have you may create some of your own smart phrases. your particular physical exam or your particular procedure note. So that this little butler here, the smart phrase butler, this is where you can go to find and search for these kinds of items with to add into your note, and then your favorites, things that you will show up here as well. All right, so getting used to the many different features here, much like a Microsoft Word, where you can do a lot more formatting of the note per Microsoft Word here using the star. All right, so another thing, whereas with Allscripts you had a table of contents, right? I could use that table of contents on the left side to get to my history, to get to my exam free text, to do my voice recognition. Well, with Epic Notes, you don't have that bar left side table of contents. You can scroll through the note and find blank spaces, and wherever there's a blank space, you can use your M-modal, or you can use dot phrases, much like the Allscripts detailed physical exam dot phrase that I've moved over into Epic. Yes, that is available. Those kinds of dot phrase text macros are available. But what about those forms? Sometimes people like to use forms or have a bigger free text box. Well, that's the table of contents per se is kind of up here at the top. So below your speed buttons, but above the note itself, you have these smart block buttons. And these kind of take you to the newer Epic Note feature called Note Writer. All right, you'll hear that you'll see it written as NW for Note Writer, or just written out Note Writer or Smart Blocks. So if I click on HPI, now over on the left side, I have a free text narrative box for the HPI, or I can add some kind of a specialty form if I wanted to fill it out with all the clicks of yeses and nos, or use the free text. I can come in here and still use the macros, right? The patient follow-up macro is going to be switched to .ptfu instead of .pfu, which was already used up in Epic. So .ptfu or .nco for new consult, or .pac for acute visit. And those are still available to use, although in many cases with my note templates, I will have already included that information in the note to begin with. So you can save even that step if you use these note templates, where if you specifically choose a follow-up note template, it's going to already put the name, age, follow-up visit, and etc. for the other different kinds of visits for new or wellness. All right, so that then once you're over here in the note writer area, you don't even have to go back to these buttons. You can just stay right here and let me document a couple of review of systems that they don't have fever, they don't have cough or shortness of breath. And then the nice thing about Epic is you can create a macro from that current data. And so now I have a brief review of systems macro for that I don't have to come and press the buttons. I can just click that button on any patient, any future visit, and it will quickly document those things. And obviously I'd chosen the cough slightly wrong, so I do want to edit that macro and fix that. All right, so let me fix that. I can edit the macro, fix that, and apply that. Save. And close out this area, and now I'm back in the note. All right, so physical exam, same thing. It's a block of data and then I've already created some macros here. So you see, so I went through and clicked in, and like a settings class, I carved out a complete exam, a medium exam, and a brief exam. And so those speed buttons, make me not have to come and click everything unless I want to. I can get that initial quick brief exam in there. I can click the macro, it applies it, it puts it in my note. So you see, as I'm using the Smart Block note writer over on the left, it's building my note over here on the right. But I can also come to any free text area and use my modal. Most of the Epic delivered notes won't have the procedure block defaulted into your note. So I created mine in such a way that, yeah, if you're going to do a procedure at the same time of a follow-up visit, you're going to get that skin lesion off or do something, the procedure block is already in here waiting for you. And so that can just save some time. And you have to remember, oh, if I was going to add it, how do I add the procedure block? And that, yes, there's a smart link that for ProcDoc. Right, there's the ProcDoc smart link. But it won't let me add it because I've already have it added. But that's how I would have to add a procedure block into my note on the fly. I'd have to remember that smart link. So while I'm in my note and getting used to Epic, right, there may be certain areas of the chart you do want to get back to or look at. And yes, you may have to jump over to chart review and start to go there to look at notes and labs, other meds. But what I've tried to do with the notes, as well as some of the newer Epic notes, where you get some links, some hyperlinks right within your note area in order to see some data. So if I did, while I'm starting my note, I did want to look at the last note in the specialty. This is a little pop-up report, and it would show me the last note in my specialty to read through. So quick, and then if, let's say I did want to kind of look at the general structured data, the medications, the problems, other things, that's what this snapshot will give you, a bit of everything from the chart, rather than having to go jump over to the chart viewer and find these things. This little pop-up snapshot will give me quite a lot of general information on the patient, and then I can just close it and go back to what I'm doing in the note. So anytime you see these little Q links with the hyperlinks, those are things that will go away when you sign the note, but they're there to give you some quick pop-up information at the point. So here's another, some of them will repeat because you may be in a different area of the notes. Here's another full history. And this one is nice because this allows you to review, mark these items as reviewed, and some note types such as well-child checks will pull this information into the note that, yes, you reviewed these parts of the chart to be able to review these. For follow-up notes, right, we've always had the Allscripts notes to still pull in their active problems, certain history items, not always family history, though, not always every aspect of the chart. Well, for this note, yeah, it's created that you're going to try to avoid note bloat by pulling that information in every time, but you have the ability to get another little different view pop up, a quick kind of a past family social history pop up more in just a plain text that will show their past family and social history, and then you're done. Then you also have the ability to add those items to your note. So this PFSH optional, where I can say, yes, I do want to add the active problems. I do want to add the surgical history that's already existing on the chart. And so I click one of those and then right click to activate it. So now if there was some information in that PFSH, that would have added to the chart. And here we go right here, patient active problem list, acute pain due to trauma. Once you get down to the physical exam area, you have a couple of other links that if you did want to add vitals, there's still some coding that needs to be done to allow you to go do that. If you wanted to jump to the labs area of the chart, you can do that. So if you click labs, it takes you to the chart review labs area. Imaging, same thing, takes you to the chart review imaging area. And then results review is kind of that area where you can look at results trends, the trends. It'll show you results and then give you a trend. But no imaging, no results on this chart. My notes are set up to bring in some default labs. Okay, the last values for some of the typical primary care monitoring labs. And if there are no results, it will give you a little indicator here that there's no results. And then if you didn't want that in your note, right, that can be removed. But you can use free text here. You can then start to use smart links here. And what I will say about the smart links is, so there are some foundation Epic delivered smart links to pull in last values, but I did create a lot of new content where there was nothing created, and most of mine, if you did want to particularly find the ones I built, I will also have a shortcut smart link that begins with the letter Q. So if I type .q last, you will see the listing of the different items that I have built. And so I could either scroll through and find what I wanted, or continue typing and I say, oh yeah, I wanted to see the last EGFR. Oh, there's no result found for that item. All right, so yes, smart links are kind of an extra layer. A smart link can, where it's the dot code, it could be something just like the exam, the old text macros exams, but it can also pull in lab results, all kinds of data. You can even have a smart link that starts the note as well, where if you didn't use your speed buttons, or you had a note that wasn't in a speed button yet, or certain notes that may also have a smart link, so that you can start it using the dot code rather than having to go to the Monopoly cards to find those items. Especially with the note content I made, these will have some smart links to add those in as well, and there'll be some resources to kind of quickly find those smart links. All right, so I've spent some time showing you how to navigate some of the Epic notes, and challenge you to use the ellipsis to set up your speed buttons. Right, in order to build a speed button, you're going to have to know the name of that smart text to create it. Right, you're going to have to be able to find it, know the name of it. Right, I have all my content start out, and you'll get more resources on those smart text note templates to build out your buttons, and then you can set up your default button. Whenever you even click the plus button, what's the default, or you can use the speed button. All right, so learning how to navigate a note, both to use the note writer smart blocks as kind of your table of contents, building macros for your physical exams, leveraging the ability to if there are smart lists, to use the defaults in the smart lists for child visits and for annual exams, being able to copy forward some content from a past note is available, and then navigating the note, knowing that you can use voice recognition anywhere where you can type, and that the hyperlinks of information to help you kind of quickly get at information without having to search the chart too much, those hyperlinks will go away when you sign the note. All right, so now you'll see this one red one. This is a required area just to remind me that I did have to type in some plan. the ability to the Epic version of having this little follow-up thing is kind of a required thing. I've made it so that it's kind of optional because people will do follow-up in many different ways. But if I did want to use this to put in my note a certain way that, oh, they're going to follow up in 3 months. So that's kind of how a smart list works, where you're kind of required to click those. But now that I've gotten rid of any pink required smart list items, I can sign this note. All right, so you see all those hyperlinks and extra things went away from the note. So getting Epic Notes to kind of look pretty and understand them, that will take a little while. The way it looks here is not the way it will look in all other places. And the whole concept of the note bloat is that, they try to hide certain things by default to kind of make your scrolling not have to be as much. But we'll get the hang of the different sections and the different features of that. But to know that that will sign the note, get rid of any of those kind of optional things, and then just gives me a SOAP note format for this particular visit that will be present then on the chart over here for the future. So if I'm reviewing the chart and I look at this, see, this note will pop up over here like that if I was reviewing this chart 3 months from now before they arrived. Hope you found this initial little note deep dive helpful. Keep pressing into learning every little aspect of how to be more efficient, because there are way more efficiency features than we had with our other systems. And so I want to keep on learning them myself, try to pass them on as much as I can to you. Till next time, bye.